Have you ever stopped to wonder where your digital life goes when a device vanishes from your hand? In the modern age, we assume our data disappears into the void once a thief sprints away around a corner. But sometimes the cloud remembers what the criminal forgets, and it begins to tell a story all on its own. This is the strange and twisting tale of a robbery that turned into a digital haunting, where the perpetrator unwittingly documented his own life for the victim to see. It serves as a chilling reminder that, in the 21st century, nothing is ever truly lost or hidden. It was a crisp autumn evening in the bustling heart of New York City, in late October of the year 2014. The streets were filled with the usual chaotic symphony of taxi horns and rushing pedestrians making their way home after a long day of work. Among the crowd walked 23-year-old Alice Miller, a graduate student studying art history at a prestigious local university. She clutched her smartphone tightly as she navigated the crowded sidewalk, unaware that she was being watched by predatory eyes from the shadows of a nearby alleyway. Alice stopped briefly at a crosswalk, waiting for the light to change while checking a message from her mother about upcoming holiday plans. In that split second of distraction, a shadowed figure lunged from the periphery with practiced precision and speed. The man snatched the device from her hand with such force that Alice nearly lost her balance and fell onto the cold concrete pavement. Before she could even scream for help, the thief had dissolved into the sea of dark coats and swiftly moving bodies, leaving her stunned and empty-handed. The immediate aftermath was a blur of panic and frustration as Alice rushed to the nearest subway station to find a police officer. She filed a report with the New York Police Department, but the officers on duty were honest about the grim reality of the situation. Phone theft was an epidemic in the city, and without a clear description of the suspect or immediate tracking data, the chances of recovery were slim to none. Alice went home that night feeling violated and disconnected from the digital world she relied on for her studies and social life. For 3 days, Alice lived in a state of analog silence while she waited for her insurance claim to process and a replacement device to arrive. She assumed her old phone had been wiped clean and sold for parts on the black market, which was the standard procedure for stolen electronics. However, when she finally powered on her new smartphone and logged into her cloud account, she was greeted by a notification that made her blood run cold. The system indicated that her old device had recently synced new data to her private photo stream. With trembling hands, Alice opened the gallery application and found a series of photographs that she definitely had not taken. The first few images were blurry and dark, showing only the corner of a room or the textured fabric of a car seat. It seemed the thief had not wiped the phone, but had simply removed the SIM card and continued using it on a wireless network. He was unknowingly uploading every single snapshot he took directly to the account Alice still controlled from her laptop and her new phone. Then came the image that changed everything and transformed this petty crime into a viral sensation. It was a clear and well-lit selfie of a man posing confidently in a bathroom mirror with a gold chain around his neck. He was smiling broadly, with a look of arrogance that suggested he had no idea his vanity was betraying him to the police. Alice stared at the screen in disbelief, realizing she was looking directly into the eyes of the man who had robbed her just days before. Alice immediately contacted the detective assigned to her case, but the wheels of bureaucracy turned slowly in a city with thousands of open cases. Frustrated by the lack of immediate action, she decided to monitor the incoming stream of photos herself. Over the next week, the thief provided a comprehensive documentary of his daily life. There were photos of his breakfast and pictures of his friends playing video games, and even shots of him counting stacks of cash on a glass coffee table. The thief seemed to be living a life of leisure, funded by his criminal activities, and he felt the need to document every moment of it. He took photos of expensive sneakers he purchased and bottles of premium liquor at a nightclub. Each image was stamped with metadata and timestamps that provided a timeline of his movements, although the location services had been turned off. Alice felt like a digital ghost, haunting the man who had stolen her property, watching his life unfold in real time. As the photo stream continued to populate, Alice noticed strange details in the background of the images that could serve as clues. In one photo, there was a distinct view of a water tower visible through a dirty apartment window. In another image showing the thief and his friends toasting with beers, there was a takeout menu stuck to the refrigerator with a partial phone number visible. Alice began to catalog these details, creating a dossier of evidence that she hoped would pinpoint his exact location. Realizing she needed more eyes on the evidence, Alice decided to share the story on a popular social media forum dedicated to solving mysteries. She posted the selfie of the thief with his face blurred slightly to comply with platform rules and explained the situation. The internet community responded with immediate and overwhelming enthusiasm. Amateur sleuths from around the world began dissecting the background details of the photos with an intensity that rivaled professional forensic teams. One eagle-eyed user identified the brand of beer the thief was drinking as a local craft brew only distributed in a specific borough of New York. Another user analyzed the angle of the sunlight in the window photo and correlated it with the visible water tower to narrow down the neighborhood to a 5-block radius in Brooklyn. The collective intelligence of the internet was closing the net around the unsuspecting thief faster than any traditional investigation could hope to achieve. The breakthrough came when the thief uploaded a photo of a parking ticket he had received, presumably to complain about it to a friend. Although the text was blurry, image enhancement software used by one of the online sleuths managed to decipher the license plate number and the street name listed on the citation. It was a fatal error for the criminal, who was still blissfully unaware that thousands of strangers were analyzing his every move. Armed with this concrete evidence, Alice returned to the police station and presented her findings to Detective James Vance. Vance was a seasoned investigator who had seen it all, but even he was impressed by the volume of data Alice and the internet had compiled. The license plate was registered to a man named Marcus Thorne, a petty criminal with a record of theft and minor assault. The address on file matched the neighborhood identified by the online investigators. Detective Vance obtained a warrant based on the cloud evidence and the identification of Marcus Thorne. The police organized a raid on the apartment in Brooklyn, where the thief had been snapping his incriminating selfies. It was early morning when the officers assembled outside the brick building, ready to confront the man who had become an accidental internet celebrity. Alice waited by the phone, anxious to hear if the digital chase would finally result in real-world justice. When the police breached the apartment, they found Marcus Thorne asleep in the very same room that had appeared in dozens of photos on Alice's cloud account. The stolen phone was sitting on the nightstand, plugged into a charger, and still connected to the local wireless network. Thorne was taken into custody without incident, completely shocked that the police had located him so precisely. He had no idea that his own vanity had led them right to his doorstep. Inside the apartment, police recovered not just Alice's phone, but a stash of other stolen electronics, including tablets and laptops. It appeared that Thorne ran a small operation fencing stolen goods, but he had kept Alice's phone for personal use because it was a newer model. His failure to wipe the device properly was a rookie mistake that unraveled his entire criminal enterprise. The evidence against him was overwhelming thanks to the photographic trail he had created. News of the arrest spread quickly through the online community that had helped track him down. The story of the selfie-taking thief became a viral sensation, with news outlets picking up the tale of the cloud-connected criminal. It highlighted the double-edged sword of modern technology, where our devices are constant tracking beacons that can work for us or against us. For Alice, it was a victory not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever felt helpless after a theft. During the interrogation, Marcus Thorne initially tried to deny stealing the phone, claiming he had bought it from a stranger on the street. However, the metadata in the photos and the timeline of uploads contradicted his story. Furthermore, the police found the clothes he was wearing in the selfies inside his closet, along with the distinct gold chain. The prosecutor had an airtight case that required very little effort to prove in court. The legal proceedings were swift as Thorne eventually pleaded guilty to grand larceny and possession of stolen property in exchange for a reduced sentence. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison and ordered to pay restitution to his victims. The judge remarked on the irony of the case, noting that the defendant had effectively provided the prosecution with a signed confession in the form of hundreds of photographs. It was a humiliating end to his short-lived criminal career. Alice eventually got her phone back, although she decided to trade it in for a new model rather than use the device that had documented the life of a criminal. She kept the photos stored on a hard drive as a strange memento of the ordeal. The experience had changed her perspective on privacy and security, making her much more cautious about her digital footprint. She realized how intimate our devices are and how much they know about us. The legacy of the case extended beyond just the arrest of Marcus Thorne. It sparked a broader conversation about the security features of smartphones and the importance of cloud tracking. Tech companies used the incident as a case study for why automatic backups and location services are vital tools for theft recovery. It also served as a warning to criminals that technology is becoming increasingly difficult to outsmart. Psychologists also weighed in on the case, discussing the narcissism inherent in the need to document every aspect of life, even when committing crimes. The compulsion to take selfies and share them is so strong in modern culture that it overrode the basic instinct of self-preservation for Thorne. He was so focused on projecting an image of success and wealth that he forgot he was holding a tracking device linked to his victim. Years later, the story of the thief who took a selfie remains a popular anecdote in the world of true crime and technology. It is often cited in security seminars and internet safety courses as a prime example of how digital trails work. The image of Marcus Thorne smiling in the bathroom mirror became a meme symbolizing the foolishness of criminals in the digital age. It is a picture that will live forever on the internet. For the online community that helped solve the case, it was a moment of triumph that validated the power of crowdsourced investigation. It showed that when people work together using open-source intelligence, they can achieve results that rival official law enforcement agencies. However, it also raised ethical questions about vigilantism and privacy that are still debated today. The line between helpful sleuthing and digital stalking is often thin. As for Alice, she graduated with her degree in art history and moved on with her life, leaving the drama of the theft behind her. She rarely talks about the incident now, but she always ensures her devices have the strongest passwords and tracking features enabled. The violation of having a stranger peer into her digital life left a mark, but the satisfaction of catching him provided closure. She proved that she was not just a victim, but an active participant in her own justice. The case serves as a modern fable about the perils of vanity and the inescapable nature of the surveillance state we live in. We are constantly generating data that defines who we are and where we are. For most of us, this data is a convenience that helps us navigate the world. But for those who choose to live outside the law, it is a silent witness that is always watching and always remembering. In the end, the smartphone is merely a tool that reflects the intent of the user. In the hands of Alice, it was a gateway to knowledge and connection with her family and friends. In the hands of Marcus Thorne, it became a mirror of his own hubris and a beacon that led to his downfall. The device itself was neutral, but the data it carried was the judge, jury, and executioner. So the next time you take a photo or sync your device to the cloud, remember the story of the selfie thief. Remember that your digital footprint is permanent and that the technology in your pocket is more powerful than you might realize. It can capture your best moments and preserve your memories, but it can also reveal your darkest secrets if you are not careful. In a connected world, there is nowhere to hide. As we log off, tonight let us consider the strange reality that we all carry potential evidence against ourselves in our pockets every day. The mystery of the stolen phone was solved not by fingerprints or DNA, but by the sheer stupidity of a criminal who underestimated the technology he stole. It is a story that ends with justice, but leaves us with a lingering question about what our own devices would say about us if they could speak.